Listen, okay, I understand. You gotta listen to me. If we don't start getting those units out, okay, yeah. Give me 1 minute. I've got another call coming in. I'll get. Jeez. Yeah. Starforge. Right. I'm on my way. Okay, the One True King Network and Moist Critical have teamed up to start their own PC system integrator, or pre-built company, if you want to call it that, called Starforge Systems. Today we're going to be taking a look at their computer offerings, and I'm going to put it in a tier list on how good the price to performance ratio of these pre-builds actually are. We've got our 4 different computers currently offered by Starforge. Now, since they're all incredibly unique and distinct looking machines, I had to go ahead and label them with crayons so that we could tell them apart. They're just in random order here. This is the base model here. This is the Horizon PC. To the right, we have the next step up, the Horizon Pro. Farther over here, we have the Horizon Elite. And finally, we have the Horizon Creator Edition, which finally uses a different case. Before we get to the tier list, let's go ahead and take a look at these machines individually. I've been seeing a lot of the creators behind this company, which let's take a look at here. Asmongold, yeah, I only watch 2 of these people, that being Moist Critical and Schlort here with his incredibly beautiful photo. The other people I don't really know or care about, but I don't watch Twitch in general. I just don't have the time for it. But I have seen clips circulating of these creators going a little bit too far when it comes to people criticizing Starforge. And even within the span of 1 day, prices have fluctuated even a couple $100s. So there is a disclaimer here that it's almost guaranteed there will be price changes, maybe even part changes, or a oversweeping change entirely coming to this company. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, because I do have some thoughts that are still kind of swimming around. Politics aside though, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual machines themselves. So if we go on their website here, which I am a fan of the design, the branding they got going on here. At the top we have a very simple drop down, and here's the 4 tiers of computer. So let's take a look at their first one, the Horizon PC. And here it is, bombshell, 900 fresh, crisp dollars. Now, just yesterday, this was $1,000, so that's a price decrease of $100, and that's not insignificant. You can get very nice computer parts in addition to this computer just for that money alone. So that just adds into the fact that, take all of this with quite a few grains of salt. Immediate here, looking through, each of the product pages has a description, and my experience is just ignore that completely. It's really marketing jargon. Nowhere on the page do they have examples of gaming with this. Most other system integrators, they show the frame rate that the computer has been tested in various games. Whether those frame rates are actually legitimate, that's another discussion, but if you're buying from a brand with a lot of reputation, then most likely it will be. Now, this is one of the best things that I've seen done on a system integrator page. Immediately, right in front of you, second drop down, you don't even have to scroll, thank God, you have a full list of the exact parts used in this computer, except for the graphics card. Every single one of these is from a specific brand except for that. Now, I'm not sure if this is because in the future they'll be swapping around from different manufacturers for the same graphics card type. If that is the case, a little worrying, because even the same tier card from NVIDIA or AMD can have different performance depending on the sub-brand you buy it from, EVGA, MSI, whatever. They can have different cooling solutions, or sometimes even be slightly clocked a little bit different. Some can have a factory overclock, like my Asus RX 570 that I have in my computer. It can be a little different, so when you're paying this amount of money, you kind of hope that it wouldn't be up to chance that you'd get a better graphics card or not, even if it's a small amount. Aside from that though, this is awesome. I love that all the parts here are exactly right in your face, and all of these are standard parts as well. And then below that, you're being upsold a little bit. Okay, again, it's not in your face, I don't care. One thing I'd like them to improve on are these product photos. For some reason, they're like really low resolution. You can see this one's 1200 by 1200. That's not great, especially if you want to get and look into the details, and they seem a little crunchy. It's just not the greatest. Also, this very poorly photoshopped Starforge logo on the Deepcool cooler. Really? That looks really bad. Oh, one thing I have noticed, interesting enough, for the Horizon PC here, the computer in these promotional images is not the Horizon PC, so I'm not really sure what you're advertising here. The streamer? What? Okay. Now, how about the parts? Alright, CPU. Intel, the Core i3-10100F. F SKU means this one does not have a built-in GPU. So basically what that means is, for whatever reason, if you have to troubleshoot your computer, and let's say your graphics card has broken after a few years, you gotta take the graphics card out. Well, most Intel CPUs have a built-in graphics card, so to say. You'd be able to plug in your monitor to the motherboard, and you'd have a basic display out. You wouldn't be able to game on it, but you would be able to actually use your computer without a graphics card. However, this being an F model, that means it does not have that integrated. It saves them money probably, but just keep that in mind in the long run. The Deepcool AK400 air cooler for the CPU cooler. I really like what Deepcool's been doing the past few years. They had a rough patch a few years back where they were falsely advertising their CPU coolers with a special heat pipe technology that was basically a puff of smoke. It didn't mean anything. This was reported on by a media branch called Gamers Nexus. However, since then, Deepcool's gone under a massive rebranding. I really like the direction they're going in, and I believe Gamers Nexus also did a review on this specific cooler. So yeah, for this price, I was hoping maybe like a 2060 Super or the new 2060 12 gig, something a little bit better than a 1660 Ti. The price to performance on that isn't great. For whatever reason, the price of that card is still very high because it was like the top end of the low end. That whole series is kind of screwed up. So I estimate they'll probably be changing this to a better card in the near future. So if we take a look at the product images, just by looking at it and estimating, I figured out that this is a card in the images manufactured by a company called PNY. And let me go ahead and find the link for that. Here it is, the PNY GeForce 1660 Ti 6GB graphics card. We can see it's the same because it's got this big old GeForce GTX badge. And if we go look at the Starforge system, it has that exact same big old GeForce badge. So that's the Horizon PC. Again, $900. So let's go ahead and find all of these parts for their retail price and compare it to the finished product. So here we go, the Horizon PC. We can see if we part all of them out together, then the total comes out to about $770, $771, whatever you want to round it to. So if you were to build that computer yourself, you'd be saving about $130. And you know what? I can't complain about that. For $130, you're having this built for you. You're getting a 2-year warranty, no questions asked about the entire build itself. I'll have the PC part picker lists linked in the description for all of these computers as well. Okay, moving on. Horizon Pro PC. Once again, on the product page, we have the poorly photoshopped Starforge logo on there. And the only differentiating factor is we've got a different graphics card and a different CPU. We've jumped from a 1660 Ti to a 3070, and we've gone from an i3 to an i5 11400F. These Intel CPUs are a few generations behind. That's alright. I mean, I've got a CPU that is 2 to 3 generations behind, and it's been running me completely fine. Again, no mention of what version of the 37 this is, but you can obviously see in the photo here, it's from MSI. So again, I went ahead and looked it up. Here it is, the Gaming Z Trio, 8 GB. light hash rate. It matches the product images. And as you can see, this will be a common recurrence as we go up the product stack here. The more expensive the computer is, the more profit that the company is going to be making. Because most likely people that are ready to drop $1,500 on a computer are not going to care too much about not being able to get every drop for their dollar. So here we can see it's nearly $300 worth of profit that goes towards Starforge, and that's not, no, it's not gross profit. They have to pay their employees for their time and logistics and other stuff like that. I mean, it's a company, but at the same time, as a customer, I don't care. That's $300 that if I built this computer myself, I could put towards getting a freaking 3080 instead of a 3070. Now it appears that the Horizon Elite here is actually the thing that's been showing up in the product images for all of the computers. You can see this is actually the computer they're picturing. So that's correct at least. And you can see here the jump is again an upgrade to the CPU and GPU, but now we get a 240mm AIO, which is very nice, and what I believe is actually, yeah, just a custom cap that Deepcool let them install there. As well as you get an upgrade to the case. I like the look of this case, but that's something very minor. I believe they cost around the same. You get a slight jump to the graphics card here, which we can see in the product images is one from EVGA. See, this is their lower tier card. It's still got a nice design to it. And once again, just for proof, we can see that the design here does in fact match up the one in the product images. And a whopping $427 of profit for Starforge Systems. With that kind of money, you could upgrade from the RTX 3080 to a freaking 3090, or if you're lucky, a 3090 Ti. That's not an insignificant upgrade. At the beginning, it was easy to justify $130 for a warranty, building, and support. But now as you climb up to things like this, $427, you really got to ask yourself, are you willing to kind of just toss that money into the void? Or are you willing to actually build this and get both a computer and a learning experience? That's the question that I'd ask myself. Okay, and then the final model, the grand finale, we finally changed cases, something that is extremely popular right now, the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic, which is understandably so. Schlatt, I see you, freaking sheep. God, I hate this case because everyone chooses it. It's obnoxious. See it everywhere. Anyway, opinions aside, we've got, again, the same AI cooler, but this time it's a 360, which is a significant amount of cooling, and for good reason, because we've got ourselves an i9-12900K, almost nearly the most powerful CPU that you can get at the moment. 13th gen is around the corner, but hey, never buy something based on what has not been released. Buy it based on what it is now. We've got ourselves another unnamed RTX 3090, and once again, I just by looking at it saw that it's also an EVGA model, which, if I can freaking get the dumb PC part picker URL. Boom, we can see it's the same design, just with the 3090 die. And then finally with the price. Highest profit margin out of all of them, a grand total of $681. I don't think this matters much. Again, the person that is buying this computer, at this point, there might even be a chance that it's the accountant that's buying this computer. Because either you're paying this for work, or at that point you really just don't care. But again, if you're spending this amount of money, Starforge is really an unknown integrator at this point. I don't know if I drop this amount of money on a computer from someone that has not shown themselves to have high quality standards. From a more well-represented company, you might get a 3090 Ti and even hardline water cooling from, say, a company like EKWB. Okay, with that being said about the computers, let's put them in a tier list. And I think this is going to be easier. So let's start with the base one. This is the one with the least amount of profit, and the only problem with it is the extremely weak GPU. If it had a better GPU, like a 2060 or a 3050 or even a 3060, is possible. Or hey, even an AMD graphics card. Have you noticed? Every single computer here has used some combination of Intel and NVIDIA parts. Well, most of the people watching these streamers are gamers, not really content creators. NVIDIA has always held the crown when it comes to creation with their specialized encoding hardware and well-written drivers. But when it comes to price to performance, AMD has held the crown when it comes to gaming. So a computer like this, it would make perfect sense to put in a 6600, 6500 and bring that price down or keep it at the same and give it a much better and much more modern graphics card. But as it stands with that 1660 Ti, I'm gonna put that in B tier. Now, unfortunately, it's quite the price jump, but the 3070 is a really good GPU. It's very well rounded when it comes to creation and gaming, so I'm gonna be putting that in A. Now, the elite version of the Ryzen is in a pretty interesting spot. You go from a 3070 to a 3080, so unless you really need that liquid cooling or that different looking case, I'm not really sure who this computer is for. So we're going to be putting it in second slot for B tier. And then the Creator Edition. This is the most powerful computer, of course, but it also has the worst value to performance ratio. And you're not going to really find a cheaper cost anywhere, but you might find better parts and better cooling, better packaging for shopping around at other retailers. So I'm going to be putting it in C tier. But yeah, here's the deal. As much as the tech YouTubers might not admit it, building a computer is hard. If you're building in a smaller case or you have absolutely no technical knowledge, heck, there's a chance that you might have not even picked up a screwdriver before, then it's incredibly challenging. I think personally, my years building computers, the hardest thing has been figuring out what is fragile on a computer part and what is not. Everything is made out of metal and plastics, and sometimes there's incredibly stupid design decisions that are made by the companies that make these parts. And you might have one that's poorly built or not thought through for someone who's never handled something like that before. And then there's all the acronyms and the labels and the confusing naming schemes and all of the different ways that parts can be compared to one another. It is really a minefield. So I completely understand why someone would even be willing to throw away $400+ to have a computer built for them. You're having that luxury, as well as the warranty and the support that comes with it, and that's completely fine. On the other hand, Starforge, for whatever reason, has been getting like a ton of hate. They've made changes just within the few days. I mean, it's coming in on an hourly basis. This video could be out of date by the time it comes out, so check the comments for any important updates. I don't think that hate is deserved. I mean, companies like NZXT BLD have done much worse, and I think Starforge is starting out strong here. I like the design, I like the direction they're going in, and they're working with people that, for the most part, have been shown to carry through on their promises. Anyway, keep a level head about the whole thing. I'm excited to see more competition. That is always a good thing. Remember that. Lower prices for the small guys like us. And yeah, thanks for watching this video, and make sure to tune in next time.